Hey guys, I'm doing a video. Sorry, my face looks dark. Let's see. I'm gonna wrap this around here so the camera doesn't fall. I'm gonna do the same to the leg. Okay, let's see. Ah! It's falling! Hey, Mrs. Putnam, if you're watching, if this is good, just tell me at class, okay? Here we go. I found my page. Okay, we're good. This is what I'm gonna read today. Liberty Medal Acceptance Speech from Thurgood Marshall. He was a justice on the United States Supreme Court from 1967 to 1991. This speech took place in 1992, so 1 year after he retired, he did the speech. He was still pretty famous. It is a pleasure to speak here on the anniversary of our nation's independence. As someone who relishes the ability to do and say whatever, I please independence is a concept near and dear to my heart. Because you're not kind enough to invite me. If you were kind enough to invite me here, I'm not going to bore you with a speech. I'm not even going to tell you I'm not going to bore you with a speech. And then proceed to talk for 30 minutes. What I'd like to do is to share a few stories, a few anecdotes of people who have understood the meaning of liberty and struggled against the odds to become free. I think of these people because of the risks they have taken and the courage they have displayed. I value them not only because of the kind of people they were, but because of the kind of nation they insisted that we become. I respect them not because of the influence they wielded, but because of the power they seized. It is useful, I think, to recall their stories, not to dwell on the past, but to see concrete evidence of what was in order to gain inspiration for what can be. Do you remember Heman Sweet? He was an ordinary man with and had an extraordinary dream to live in a world in which Afro-Americans and whites alike were afforded equal opportunity to sharpen their minds and to hone their skills. Unfortunately, the officials at the University of Texas Law School did not share his vision. Constrained by the shackles and prejudice and incapable of seeing people who they were, they denied Heman Sweet admission to law school solely because his color was not theirs. It was a devastating blow and a stinging rejection, a painful reminder of the chasm that separates white from Negro. But Heman Sweet held on to what racism tried to snuff out, a sense of self and recognition of place, a determination to attain the best and refusal to settle for anything less. Heman Sweet knew what whites and segregationists tried to forget, that none of us, Afro, white, or blue, will ever rest until we're truly free. Heman Sweet did not pursue liberty alone. Just a few years earlier, a couple named Shelley tried to do what white America had done for years, live in a neighborhood of choice. But to white homeowners in Missouri, such as Audacity, was too threatening to be tolerated in their view. Whites belonged in one world, Negroes in another. They could not see the similarities that linked them to the Shelleys, to common desire to earn a living, to raise children, to own and care for a home. They saw only one difference. I guess to them, if the United States was indeed a melting pot, the Negroes either didn't get in the pot or didn't get melted down. Whatever the reason for the myopic vision, the Shelleys were forced to do what Negroes have had to do for years. Use the only weapon they had, their right to a day in court, to gain the rights to which they were constitutionally entitled. Fortunately for our history, the Shelleys won their suit. But even if they had lost, they would have known more freedom than the whites who tried to shut them out would ever know. Racism separates, but it never liberates. Hatred generates fear, and fear, once given a foothold, binds, consumes, and imprisons. Nothing is gained from prejudice. No one benefits from racism. We're going on the next page. Okay. As I think back on these courageous people who came before, I wonder what became of the challenge the Sweets and the Shelleys provided. They worked for liberty. My apologies. They fought for freedom. They insisted on justice. They were optimistic. As I was, the racial interaction, they were optimistic as I was. The racial interaction would breed understanding. And that understanding in turn would produce healing and redemption. They were hopeful as I was, that over time America would grow toward justice and expand toward equality. Had I thought in the wake of Smith versus Allwright and Shelley versus Kramer and Brown versus Board of Education, that I would be giving a talk now on the anniversary of our nation's independence. I would have predicted that I have spoken with much pride and optimism of enormous progress the nation has made, but as I surveyed the world, human Sweet and the Shelleys left behind, I wish I could say that racism and prejudice were only distant memories. I wish I could say that this nation had traveled along the road to social justice and that liberty and equality were just around the bend. I wish I could say that America has come to appreciate diversity and to see the concept and accept similarity. But as I look around, I see not a nation of unity, but of division, Afro and white, indigenous and immigrant, rich and poor, educated and illiterate. Even many educated whites and successful Negroes have given up on integration and lost hope on equality. They see nothing in common except the need to flee as fast as they can from our inner cities. A Pullman porter once told me that he had never been any place in the United States where he did not have to put his hand up in front of his face and discover he was a Negro. I am afraid the porter's experience is still true, but there is a price to be paid for division and insulation as recent events in California indicate. Look around. Can't you see the tension in Watts? Can't you feel the fear in Scarsdale? Can't you sense the alienation in Simi Valley? The despair in South Bronx? The rage in Brooklyn? We cannot play ostrich. Democracy just cannot flourish amid fear. Liberty cannot bloom amid hate. Justice cannot root amid rage. America must get to work in the chill climate in which we live. We must go against the prevailing wind. We must dissent from the indifference. We must dissent from the apathy. We must dissent from the fear and hatred and the mistrust. We must dissent from our nation that has buried its head in the sand, waiting for the needs of its poor, its elderly, and its sick to disappear and just blow away. We must dissent from a government that has left its young without jobs, education, or hope. We must dissent from the poverty of vision and absence of moral leadership. We must dissent because America can do better, because America has no choice but to do better. This is the last page. The legal system can force open doors and sometimes even knock down walls, but it cannot build bridges. That job belongs to you and me, Afro and white, rich and poor, educated and illiterate. Our fates are bound together. We can run from each other, but we cannot escape each other. We will only attain freedom if we learn to appreciate what is different and muster the courage to discover what is fundamentally the same. America's diversity offers so much richness and opportunity. Take a chance, won't you? Knock down the fences that divide. Tear apart the walls that imprison. Reach out. Freedom lies just on the other side. We should have liberty for all. Thank you. Okay, I hope you guys liked it. You might hear some kids over there, my sisters, and some dogs barking, but I hope you guys like this. I'm sorry I had to move around a lot. I'm sorry I stopped and had to pronounce some words, but I don't know how to pronounce some words, so thank you very much. And I hope you liked it.